What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. So there's been a lot of information, a lot of news, mostly positive stuff for the most part. I feel like coming out of training camp more recently. So I'll probably do a live just to kind of capture all of the things soon. We'll see how that plays out. But there was a major concern that occurred today. I haven't really seen a whole lot of people talking about it. I thought it might have been fake at first as well, just because it seems like it was brushed under the carpet a little bit. But we already have a little bit of a tackle concern, right? Assuming George Fant comes back healthy, let's say he gets on the field next week and he can perform and do all the things, no setbacks, perfect. Mekhi Becton hasn't had any issues. In fact, he's been getting, more positive reviews from the coaching staff, not just from a physical standpoint, like we seen when all the weight, the pictures of the weight dropping showed up, but even as recently as of today, Coach LaFleur was mentioning that he sees the improvement, physically and in the pass protection sets that he's been running, just as comfort growing in this offense, as well as the transition to right tackle. So, assuming both of those guys come back, perfect, but everybody has still been worried about this tackle position. What's our veteran backup going to look like? Or even if it isn't a veteran, what does a young tackle coming in with some upside look like for us? And I've been a guy that's been high on Max Mitchell. I haven't hit that whatsoever. I do understand he's coming from that Sun Belt Conference. Who has he actually faced as a rusher, etc.? But again, somewhat, as I mentioned before, in the same vein as kind of Zach Wilson's situation last year in the preseason, he was lighting up the second and third string defenses that we were playing. Obviously, we would have wanted to see some first string competition, but you can only do what you can do and what you have control over. So, Mitchell's done everything that was asked of him to an exceptional level. He's coming in. I've heard things like a lot of coaching staffs view him purely as a right tackle, just because he may not be, as quick, have the best length, have the best power to, hold down the left tackle side. But regardless of all that, he went down with an injury today, and I'm hoping we'll get some details about what that looks like. Nobody asked anything in the press conferences, and the coaching staff hasn't necessarily dropped any news regarding it. But he went off the field today with a limp. He was able to walk off under his own power, from what I've seen. But keep in mind, we're already running left tackle, Chuma, Edoga, Connor McDermott switching out. And Connor McDermott, I heard, has been, he's been getting used and abused. Apparently, when Max Mitchell went down, Connor McDermott was one of the first tackles back in, and immediately at the left tackle spot, Carl Lawson completely dominated him, got a sack on Zach Wilson. And these are in pads today. So Salah's been doing a good job. He's been, talking up even at the areas that are lacking maybe in the skill talent. Offensive line, for example, being one of those that this is a prime opportunity for these tackles to get the experience, try to make these improvements. He's saying the right things about us being comfortable with what we have currently on the field and our product, but obviously there's always going to be a little bit of that, political, chess game going on there. So I would still say we're looking for somebody to come in and hold the reins. There is some interesting news I've seen today. I got to look into it a little bit more. I can barely even remember the guy's name, but I think it's Tevin Jenkins from the Bears, their recent tackle selection. He hasn't been panning out. Apparently, I've heard that there's been, he's available for trade potentially. So that might be a crazy option if the asking price isn't too high. Again, I have to take a look into it and see what that whole situation is really about. But I mean, Dwayne Brown might not be on the table anymore if he's the guy that I'm remembering correctly. I think he has some pending legal stuff going on. And so Riley Reef ended up going to the Bears, $12 million contract, huge overpayment, especially considering what we got Quan on. And you'd have to, Quan Alexander, you'd have to imagine the contract value and, the vacuum of things was essentially the same. So right now it's looking a little iffy. We're still going to have essentially Connor McDermott, Chuma Edoga, rotating out and switching between the tackle spots in place of George Fant. Max Mitchell, hopefully he returns sooner than later. Again, we'll see what the seriousness of that issue turns out to be. And then even Greg Sinnat, who was mostly holding down the fort in minicamp, he's on the non-football injury list. So or illness. I'm not sure if it was due to injury or illness. I can't remember specifically. But it's looking not the best, right? I don't even have better words for it right now. It's looking real bad. Report card, I would say we got to have like a C- grade on there right now. Definitely something you would imagine the coaching staff is becoming more increasingly aware of, is probably going to be a priority in the coming week or two, so that person that we're bringing in can get comfortable with the playbook early on, even though the expectation is hopefully we don't need them when George Fant returns. But similar to our backup quarterback situation, at these, pivotal spots, cornerback, quarterback, offensive line, defensive line, you want that depth throughout throughout the team from spots A through Z, whatever that looks like for, however many position spots we're allowing. Because the iron sharpening iron philosophy only works, for what people love to say, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So if we have, superstars at the primary spots, awesome, great for us. But when they need a breather, if they go down with injuries and we go with the next man up philosophy, it's a huge concern. Obviously, our defensive line is full of beasts, but, this is the same situation we seen last year. Connor McDermott was getting beat almost 2 or 3 times a game in very minimal snap coverage. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are, though. I haven't heard a whole lot about Max Mitchell actually since the draft, so I don't really have a good pulse on has he been good? Has he been bad? Were they waiting for pads? Obviously, one of the huge things we knew coming out was that he needed to build up his functional strength. But everybody thought he had the technical prowess and the versatility to definitely succeed in the offense. So, again, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Do you think we make a move sooner than later at this tackle spot? With that said, though, I'll catch you guys again. Peace.